Hey everybody, Anthony here with the Dynamic Discs Media Team, and we are going to be doing something that we started last year and we have got a ton of requests for to bring back and to revamp and keep going. And that is kind of like I think we called it an average Joe in the bag. Last year we did it with Derek Savory, who is our sponsorship coordinator, and we've just had requests to keep that going and keep it going with people around the office, or specifically like Bobby or Danny or myself or Robert or anybody like that. Jeremy, we've had a bunch of requests for that as well. So we are going to be bringing those things back and starting that up again. Obviously, welcome, this is mine. We are starting officially with mine, thank you very much. But we also have Bobby's coming up super soon and Danny's coming as well. So be on the lookout for those things. But like I said, this isn't in the bag, so we're gonna dive right into it. I do carry the GBO Commander bag. This is from GBO 2017, I think it was. Really cool colors, orange and gray. I just really like the color combination on that one. And the Commander is great. It holds everything that I need. It's nice and lightweight too. But for discs, we're gonna start with putters. And I putt with the classic Wardens. I have putted with the Primes as well, and I think they're very similar. Just kind of depends on the feel and what you're looking for. This year I switched to the Classics just to try them out, and I've really been liking them. They're a little bit stiffer, I think a little bit more stable. I think the Prime is a little bit straighter, where the the Classic will hold up in winds a little bit better. These are both max weight, but I'm not super picky about that. Team Warden all day. I love the Warden. Nice beadless profile. It's just so comfortable in my hand, and it's nice and straight. No matter what distance I'm at, I know I can just put this straight at the chains, and if I do everything right, it's going in. So Team Warden for sure. Throwing putters, I only carry 1 1/2 of a throwing putter. We'll get to that one in a second, but the one that I do carry is the Westside Discs Maiden. I love the Maiden. For so long I had been looking for a throwing putter that just worked for me. I don't like deep discs, specifically deep putters. And I used to throw Wardens, and that was too deep for me. And I would throw Pures, and that was just a little bit less stable than I was looking for. And then they came out with the Maiden, and this is exactly what I have been looking for. It is super comfortable in my hand, nice and shallow, and it's so straight. This is in the Origio plastic from the Trilogy Challenge last year. This is the same one that I got in the Trilogy Challenge, so you can see it is, I mean, I'll spin it for you there. It's all kinds of warped and bent, and it kind of looks like a piece of bacon after it comes out of the frying pan. This is very understable. I can throw this thing on hyzer flips and turns. It will not ever fade out on me. It is always finishing to the right. People always talk about overstable discs being dependable. Well, that is dependably understable. And then this is a VIP Moonshine Maiden from the Winter Marksman League, actually. I didn't win, unfortunately, but this is actually a misprint that I found at the retail store here in Emporia, and it's a little bit flatter than other Moonshine Maidens that I've seen, which I like personally. The big dome on some of them, it just makes it feel a little bit deeper, and like I said, I like shallower throwing putters, so that is why I just love this thing. It's a lot more stable to overstable than a Origio. It's not overstable, it just kind of holds a line. It's a very shot shaping putter. If I throw it flat, it's going to go straight and just have a little bit of a fade, or it'll hold turnovers or hyzers or anything. So this is definitely my go-to approach putter. And then I said I carry 1 1/2 because I also carry the Fusion Suspect, and it's not technically a putter, but I throw it for approaches and putter type shots. Anything where that Maiden isn't going to be overstable enough, anything where I need to hold more hyzer if it's windy, if I need to throw a little chip sidearms, I will definitely be using the Fusion Suspect. It's not super overstable, but it is definitely overstable enough to like I said, fight winds, handle sidearm power, anything like that. So anytime you see me throwing a hyzer approach into a green, I'm going to be throwing a Fusion Suspect. Moving on up to mid-ranges, I carry 5 mid-ranges actually, but I don't throw them a ton. It's not the strongest part of my game, but I do throw them a good bit. So my most understable here is a Goldline Fuse from the Broncos Stadium event this year. And that was actually the first time that I threw a Fuse was at Broncos Stadium. And so I threw it there and I thought, It's not really what I thought a fuse would be. I thought I was at elevation and it would just be it was more stable than I was expecting. And then we came back here to Kansas and it's like exactly the same. It is a point and shoot disc. It flies very similar to my VIP Moonshine Maiden, but just farther. I can throw this thing a lot harder and it goes a lot farther. It has ridiculous glide and it will just hold anything. I'll get a little bit of a right drift out of it, but if I want to throw a hyzer flip, I can. If I want to throw it flat, it'll just kind of ride straight. It'll hold turnovers. There's a reason that guys like Jordan Castro and Chris Clemens and all those guys, there's a reason that they throw this thing and hype this thing up as much, because it's a real good disc. Next up, I have the VIP Gatekeeper from Westside, and I actually picked this one up because, like, look at that. This is like one of my all-time favorite shades of blue. It's just like a robin's egg kind of opaque-ish blue, but I literally picked this up because I was walking through the warehouse one day and I was like, that's gorgeous. I need to have that. So I got this, and then I got another one that has a red, super cool hand-eye bar stamp on there. And I bought it, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna buy it, I have to at least try it. And so from that day, I went out and played around, actually right here at Jones East. And from that day, this thing has not come out of my bag, and it's not leaving anytime soon. It's very similar to the Fuse, but it just has a little bit more fade. I can throw this thing hard and flat, and I know it's gonna ride straight, and then just have a gentle fade out at the end. Next up, I carry two Verdicts. I have a Fusion Verdict here and then a Moonshine Verdict as well. The Fusion one is very similar to that Gatekeeper. It's a little bit beat in, so it just is nice and straight. It just fades out a little bit more. If I would throw the Gatekeeper and there's a little bit of wind, that's when I'm going to be throwing this guy. And then the Moonshine one is for anything overstable, anything that I know cannot go right and I just need it to go straight and left. I need it to hold a hyzer. Even I'll throw some sidearms with this as well. If you are a Verdict thrower and you haven't tried a Moonshine, you need to. They're a little bit more domey. You can probably hear that. They're a little bit more domey, but they're noticeably more overstable. So if I need something to just go straight and left and just not worry about whether there's OB right or tree line right or anything like that, I will be throwing the Moonshine Verdict. I'll also throw this on sidearms like that Suspect, just a little bit farther, a little bit more overstable, a little bit more of a wind fighter type disc. I love this thing for sure. And last but certainly not least, no surprise to anyone, I carry a Justice as well. You gotta have something, man. You gotta have one, especially if you live here in Emporio or in the Kansas or just anywhere where it gets windy. You've gotta have a Justice because there are so many times where you've got OB or death to one side or the other side. You've got a ripping headwind or crosswind or something, and you just need to throw something that you know is going to get you safe and not risk going in the water. And that's exactly what the Justice does. Funny story about this Justice, I actually got it in the player pack at GBO probably 2016, I think, whenever it first came out, and it is a 169 gram Justice. It is puddle topped and it spent 2 years in the pond over at Peter Pan. It's got a huge gash out of the top of it here, and I kid you not, it is still as overstable as the day that I picked it up in the player pack. So if you just need something dependable that's going to fly exactly the same for going on 3 or 4 years, you've got to try out the Lucid Justice. Moving into fairways, this is probably what I throw the most, especially out here at Jones Park. I throw a lot of fairway drivers out here, and you can see I do carry quite a few. Looks like we've got 7 fairways. So we will go understable to overstable, starting off with my Mavericks. If you know me, you know I love this disc. This is probably one of my favorite discs in the world. Not only just the DD lineup, but just into all of disc golf. This is an incredible disc. I have one special edition Maverick and then one Lucid X Zach Melton Maverick. So this special edition I got when the special editions were all that was out before there was a stock stamp release. This was the buyback retailer exclusive, and it's been in my bag ever since. It flies very similar to that Origio Maiden, where I can throw it on a hyzer and it's just gonna slow turn and then drift right. I love this thing. This is one of my go-to discs because, like I was talking about earlier, it is dependably understable. It will do the same thing every time, no matter what. Basically, I can throw, if you want like that straight to dumping overstable sidearm shot, I can throw this on a backhand and get the exact same flight. If I were to throw rollers, I could do it with this, but I really don't too often. That's just not my game. I'm not very good at them, but this would be the one that I use. And then the Lucid X Maverick is just, it's a more overstable version. I can throw this hard and flat and straight, and it's just gonna hold straight forever. Hardly any fade on these things. I can throw this and it'll hold a turn, it'll hold a hyzer. It's a laser beam of a fairway driver. I don't understand. I've never thrown a fairway driver or any driver that is as neutral flying as these things are. They just hold lines and shape shots. And if you have not tried out the Lucid X Maverick, you are doing yourself a disservice. You need to try these things out. They are incredible. Next up, I have another incredible fairway driver. You've probably heard a little something about it, and that is the Explorer. I used to throw culverins forever, and I just wanted to try the Explorer just to see, you know, it was a new disc. Emerson Keith throws them a lot. Just wanted to check it out, and I love it. It flies just like the culverin, which is very similar to the Getaway if you've ever thrown one of those. Just a little bit slower, a little bit more controllable, but it's that same stability where it is just throw it hard and flat and it's gonna go straight, and a touch of fade. Like I was talking about with that Fusion Verdict, with that VIP Gatekeeper, similar stability, just probably another 50 or 60 feet farther. Tons of glide. This is a special edition that I hit an ace with, and we don't need to talk about whether or not I was in the ace pot for that. And then I also have an Emerson Keith Opto X Explorer and a recycled line Explorer. The recycled one I tried out just because it's a lot more domey, and I wanted to see the difference. I knew the recycled plastic was a little bit more understable than that special edition, but with the dome I thought maybe it would be a little bit more overstable. And it's very similar, it just seems to have a little bit more glide. I don't know if that's just a mental thing or what, but because that one is an ace disc and I don't need to talk about whether or not I was in the ace pot, it kind of holds like a weird sentimental value to me, where it's almost like a not good sentimental value, but it's just kind of one where, you know, you got to have those things that get you laughing, and it kind of helps me laugh at myself out on the course. So this is kind of like right here, hole 11. I'll throw this one instead of that special edition just so I don't lose it. It's kind of one of the more special discs in my bag to me. Like I said, just keep you in a good mood, keep your spirits up if you're having a tough day. And this one's just a little bit more replaceable, but very straight. And then the Emerson Keith Opto X Explorer is probably quickly becoming one of my go-to fairway drivers. It does everything. I can throw it hard and flat and it's just gonna go straight. I can throw this thing on pretty powered up sidearms. It is incredible. I picked it up and I forced myself to throw it on about every hole out here at Jones East, and I was like a few strokes off my personal best with the first day I picked this thing up. So it's awesome. If you haven't picked one of these up, I know I just said it about the Maverick, but seriously, this and the Lucid X Maverick are two of, if not my most go-to discs in my bag. They save me more strokes than probably anything else because I can throw them on so many different shots in so many different conditions and just do so many different things. I absolutely love them. Opto X Explorer, check them out. And then one that's actually new to my bag is the, well, new-ish, I used to throw it a lot, is the Criminal. I have a Fusion Criminal and a Biofusion Criminal here. This Biofusion Criminal is not like any Criminal you've ever seen before. I can throw this on a hyzer and it will stand up and kind of drift right and then fade out again, probably a good 30 or 40 feet over those Mavericks, just because it is faster. This is a 10 speed where the Maverick is a 7. And it has a little bit more dome. It feels a little bit better in my hand for really powered up shots. If I want to throw something hard, I'm going to throw this. If I want to throw something controlled and touchy, I'm going to throw the Maverick. But yeah, Criminal, I'll throw this if winds are up as well. If I want to throw that Lucid X Maverick, but it's just too strong of a headwind, if it's 15 miles an hour instead of 5 miles an hour, I'll probably disc up to this guy. And then I have a Fusion Criminal for just overstable shots. Tons of sidearms, big spike hyzer backhands. I actually do also have a Eric Oakley Lucid X Felon. I kind of go back and forth between these two. Right now I'm throwing the Criminal. Really the only real difference that I've noticed is the Criminal's a little bit deeper, and I like that better on backhand throws, where the Felon is a little bit more shallow, and I like it better for sidearms. So I'll probably just carry both if it's a tournament round, but for casual rounds, I'll usually just take one or the other just to save on weight. But very similar flights between these two, just overstable approaches, sidearms, spike hyzers, winds. I mean, everybody knows what a Felon does. Everybody knows what a Criminal does. It's just one of those discs like the Justice. You just gotta have something in that slot. and I kind of like both, so I usually will carry both. And that is it for fairways. Moving up into distance drivers, I carry 5, but it's actually only 2 molds now. I used to carry a bunch of enforcers, defenders, sheriff, trespass, everything like that. And then we came out with my favorite disc, and that's the Raider. It's just the perfect distance driver for my arm speed. I carry 4 here. I can throw the Raider full power, and if I throw it on a hyzer, it'll stand up a little bit. If I throw it flat, I'll just get a full flight out of it. If I throw it on an anhyzer, I'm just gonna get a huge max distance shot out of it. It's the farthest flying disc in my bag without question. It's probably the farthest flying disc I've ever thrown. I absolutely love this thing. The feel in my hand is just incredible. It's a little bit deeper than the rest of our distance drivers, where the Defender's kind of a really thick rim, it's really wide, and it's fairly shallow as well, which is good because it's gonna come out of your hand clean, but the Raider just feels more comfortable for me. It fits my grip so well, and I absolutely love it. This is a Biofusion that I got in the USA MPC doubles player pack, and it's pretty beat in, it's pretty understable. Now I can throw this thing on hyzer flips that'll stand up and then kind of give me that full flight. I'll throw this on big turnover shots, and I actually really like this one for sidearms as well. I can shape shots with this on a sidearm line. I can get it to kind of stand up a little bit, which I can't do with basically any other distance driver. So this is probably one of my more go-to sidearm discs. And then I do also have a bar stamp Fusion. This is a 173. This is probably my go-to Raider. This is my max distance bomber. This is, if there's just a wide open shot, throw anything to get there, 400 feet or so, maybe a little bit farther, maybe a little bit shorter. This is the one I'm going to be throwing for sure. This has been in my bag since the day that they came out with these. And then I do carry, just recently released, I carry 2 Lucids. The yellow one is a little bit, I've had it a little bit longer. It's a little bit more worked in, so it's not quite as overstable, where the white one's a little bit newer, a little bit more overstable. And these are more of my wind fighters. These are more of the pure hyzer shots, or if I need something that's gonna finish out hard, that's when I'm gonna throw these guys. The white one's just for a little bit more winds. And then if I need to throw an overstable sidearm, I'm probably going to be throwing one of these 2, maybe the white one, just because it's a little bit more overstable. I can trust it a little bit more, but depending on the winds and the situation, those are what I'm going to be throwing. And then last but not least is probably the prettiest disc in my bag. It's a Lucid Enforcer with it's like smoky on the front and then like bursty on the back. Ugh, it's gross. I hope the camera shows it well. It's like it looks like smoke. It looks like when you blow out a candle. It's awesome. And it's a Lucid Enforcer. It is overstable. You can hear it's a little bit windy right now. I would be throwing this thing a ton if I were out here playing. I'll throw this thing on sidearms as well, but it definitely doesn't get me the distance that a Raider will on a sidearm. Noticeably more overstable. So this is more for spike hyzers, winds, things like that. It doesn't get pulled out nearly as much as those Raiders, especially now that the Lucid Raiders are out. This thing gets pulled out even less, but I like to have it in there just for a little bit of a security blanket, if you will. If the wind does get picked up, if it is a shot where I just need to hyzer and I need to hyzer hard, then it's always good to have an Enforcer in the bag. So that's it. That is my bag. Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I said at the beginning, if you are interested in us doing more of these, please let us know down in the comments below. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We are trying to get to 50,000. We're close, but we're trying to get there. So please help us out with that. And as always, turn on the notification bell that's down there near the subscribe button, so you can find out when we post any and everything that we are posting here on the YouTube channel. Thanks, guys.